We'll now dismiss our children to Children's Church. And you can turn your Bibles to the book of Matthew, And today being Mother's Day, I'm just guessing that all you ladies that are wonderful and you've been blessed to be mothers, you woke up to breakfast in bed this morning. I'm telling you, you woke up and there were just gifts all around and abound, and you just felt like, wow, I'm the most blessed mother in the world. Isn't that's how, right? Because it's Sunday morning and it's not like you've got to hurry to get a lot of things done. This morning we woke up and I was getting ready to get here. My wife normally comes to the second service because she has the honor and the esteemed privilege of getting two teenage boys ready. Oh, the joy of it. And she was ironing my shirts and ironing my tie and everything. And she said, you know, it's Mother's Day. Why am I having to iron your clothes? I said, babe, we all got responsibilities. Today is also my wife's birthday. So I wanted to get her something that would electrify her heart. So I got her a taser. That's right. I figured now that we live in New Mexico, it's only befitting. I'm playing. Don't take that personally. I'm just playing. We are blessed this morning to recognize mothers. And, you know, I think one of the greatest stories I ever read was by the author of Irma Bombeck. And she wrote this. It's about God was creating a mother. And it says, she says that on the day God created mothers, he had already worked a lot of overtime. And an angel said to him, Lord, you're spending a lot of time on this one. The Lord turned and said, have you read the specs on this model? She is supposed to be completely washable, but not plastic. She is to have over 180 moving parts, all of them replaceable. She is to have a kiss that will heal everything from a broken leg to a broken heart. She's to have a lap that will disappear whenever she stands up. She is able to function on black coffee and leftovers, and she is supposed to have 6 pairs of hands. 6 pairs of hands, said the angel. That's impossible. It's not the 6 pairs of hands that bother me, said the Lord. It's the 3 pairs of eyes. She is supposed to have 1 pair that sees through closed doors so that whenever she says, what are your kids doing in there? She already knows what they're already doing. She has another pair in the back of her head to see all the things she's not supposed to see but must see. And then she has 1 pair right in front that can look at a child that is just goofed and communicate love, understanding without saying a word. That's too much, said the angel. You can't put that much in 1 model. Why don't you rest for a while and resume your creating tomorrow? No, I can't, said the Lord. I'm close to creating someone very much like myself. I've already come up with a model who can heal herself when she's sick. I laugh. We all get sick out like babies. Tony gets sick and she cleans the house. Who can feed a family of 6 with 1 pound of hamburger. And who can persuade a 9-year-old to take a shower. Then the angel looked at the model of motherhood a little more closely and said, she's too soft. Oh, but she's tough, said the Lord. You'd be surprised how much this mother can do. Can she think? Asked the angel. Not only can she think, said the Lord, but she can reason and compromise and persuade. Then the angel reached over and touched her cheek. This one has a leak. I told you that you couldn't put that much in 1 model. That's not a leak, said the Lord. That's a tear. What's a tear for? Asked the angel. It's for joy, for sadness, for sorrow, for disappointment, and for pride. You're a genius, said the angel. And the Lord said, oh, but I didn't put that there. blessed to have mom. I've read that story before, and I think of my mom. It's the first time in 43 years, folks, I haven't been with my mother on Mother's Day. So if this little boy sobs a little bit like a baby, you just got to deal with it. Because I'm the baby, I'm a mama's boy. I'm still tugging on her apron strings. And you know what? When I go home and see her, I like that she treats me like a child. When the rest of the world treats you like a grown man and beats up on you, sometimes it's nice to be reminded you're still mom's little boy. I think this gives us a better understanding of Miss Zebedee today. She just wanted the best for her boy. Sometimes she gets an unfair shake in the way we preach it. So this morning, I want to put a little twist on it. I want to come from the light of a mama. Because you see, mamas see their children. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I love my boys. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my boys. But I can tell my wife, Tony, today's Mother's Day and her birthday. But she sees Job and Caleb a little different than I do. I don't know why. They're workhorses. They can do all this stuff. She's got to crack the whip, get them to do stuff. She'd rather just have them sit around and love on each other. All that kind of crazy stuff. But here's the thing. Miss Zebedee loved her two little boys. They were grown men at this point. They weren't very little. But you know what? She loved them like they were still in her arms. Let's read our text this morning. Matthew 20, verses 20 through 23. 20 through 23. Please listen as I read. I love to hear them pages turn. You know what, folks? We don't hear that enough in Baptist churches anymore. People turning their Bibles. Matthew 20, 20 through 23. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked him for something. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Say that these two sons of mine are to sit, one on your right hand and one on your left, in your kingdom." Jesus answered, "You do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." Let us pray. Father, I love you. I thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning. Father, I thank you that we can honor our moms. Lord, they're deserving of it. Lord, for those that have been blessed with a mother that knows no bounds of love, God, it changes lives. Father, when I think of your love, I think of my mom. So, Father, I thank you this day we get to talk about a mother's love, a mother's care. So, Lord, lead this time. I pray the Holy Spirit would beckon our hearts. Lord, I pray if there's those here today that do not know you, Lord, I pray that they would see the simplicity of the gospel, and that is that you love, that you care. Lord, I pray that I'd be nothing but a broken vessel. Lord, as often prayed, restored only through the power of the Holy Spirit to preach and to share your word. God, let our hearts be broken over what your word teaches. And Lord, when we come to the time that we come and we have an opportunity to answer during the invitation, I pray, God, that we would be good stewards and obey and do what you've asked. Because, Father, everything you ask out of love, just like our mamas. So, Lord, bless this day and have your hand upon all that's going to take place. In Jesus' name, all God's children say, amen. Ms. Zebedee was reaching out to Jesus because she knew that her two sons loved Jesus. You see, she was there. She was watching James and John. She was watching them as they traveled, and she knew that James and John were very close. And she knew the teachings of Jesus. But the interesting thing, if you go back to the first part of this chapter, it's very interesting what Jesus teaches. Matter of fact, it might have had a little concern with Ms. Zebedee. Because if you go back, Jesus tells a story of a landowner who goes out in the beginning of a day and hires some people for a day's wage. Then he goes back out at midday. Then he goes back in the late evening, and then he goes back out in the late after and the very latter part of the day. Yet at the end of the day, everyone gets the same pay. And no doubt Ms. Zebedee was walking along thinking, you know what, my sons are working hard. They want, they want to be great in God's kingdom, and I want them to be great in God's kingdom. So then she goes and says, hey, can my sons sit on the right and left of your throne? Now, I think it's interesting. Jesus doesn't grant her request, but he doesn't deny it either. He just simply says, it's not mine to give. But you've got to admire a woman, which many people over the years have said, can you imagine her being so brash, for her asking for so much? But yet, think about this. This is a mother wanting the best for her kids. I hope that we all would want the best for our children. So let's pick this part just a few moments this morning and look, what was she really asking for? I believe one thing she was asking for, she desired eternal security. She desired eternal security for her children. Look what it says. Verse 21, say that these two sons of mine are to sit, one on the right hand and on the left, in your kingdom. I don't think there's any more greater desire for a parent to know that their children are eternally secure. I was talking with our staff the other day. We have a good time, folks. I tell you right now, I think Judy needs to start closing her door, because all she does is laugh at Ira and Kevin. I have to keep everybody straight. Yeah. Poor old Amy just hides. But I was talking, I said, if Jesus comes, that's fine. My boys are ready. I think it's important for us to want our children to know Jesus, to know that they're eternally secure. To know that no matter what happens today or tomorrow or 10 or 15 years from now, knowing that our kids are right with God. One of the greatest desires of a mother's heart, especially Miss Zebedee's heart, she just wanted to make sure, my kids know you. I want them to be in the kingdom. I want them to be with you for all eternity. What good is it? We teach our kids so much. You need to go to school, and you need to get a good job, and you go to college, and you need to get all this education. Why? So you can get good money, so you can live in a good house, so you can drive a good car, so you can get a good whatever. But what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his own soul? We get that from Matthew 16:26. For what would it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for a soul? Miss Zebedee understood one thing. I want my kids in your kingdom. I want my kids in your kingdom. I watch my mama get on her knees every night. And she begged God to move in my life, in Bart's life, staying in Mike's and my dad's. I watched at nights where her feet would be cold because the covers were saturated with her tears, begging that God would move in our lives. My mother worked 12 to 15 hours a week. I mean, a day some days, not a week, a day. We owned our own factory. We had over 100 employees. It's amazing. You can have over 100 employees on a factory and still scrimp just to buy a pound of hamburger meat. Yet no matter how busy my mother was, she always had time to pray. Moms, never be too busy to pray for your children, because they're watching. I watch my wife every day pray twice a day. I've never asked her to do this. I believe it's just the connection that mommies have with their Savior. I watch my wife on her knees every night talking to Jesus, praying that she won't kill me one more day. And I watch Tony, I've shared this before, I watch her every morning when we wake up. She'll lay in bed, she'll cross her hands, she'll do this. And she starts praying. I know she prays for 20 minutes because I lay there waiting for her to get through praying. Because as soon as she gets through praying, I go, good morning, good morning, good morning. Daddy loves you. You ain't my daddy. Why do you wake up like that? I ain't had no coffee yet. God's given us a new day. Well, God needs to go get some coffee, so go downstairs and make it. But here's the thing, folks. Moms are always concerned about their children's eternal security. But secondly, she desired her sons to be a part of a worthy calling. Verse 21 again. So that these two sons of mine are to sit on the right hand, on the left hand. The key point here are to sit on the right hand and one on the left hand. Why is that important? These are positions of authority. These are positions that hold high esteem. I put it this way. For her two sons to hold such esteemed seating arrangements meant that they both would have to be about working with Jesus in a way that brought honor to him. She wanted her sons to be about something that was a worthy calling. We want our kids to do things that are worthy. You know, now I tell my kids, I said, son, whatever you do in life, we were talking about being barbers yesterday, and they said, well, what does a barber make? I said, son, don't worry about what barbers make. If it brings you joy, if it makes, and it's in a life that you can live and share Jesus, don't worry. I tell my kids, don't be so consumed with money. Focus on what you're going to do. It's not about money, folks. What we need to worry about and be concerned with are our kids living a worthy calling to Jesus Christ. Are they truly living that? But let me tell you, it begins at home. Where does the spirit of servanthood begin? It begins at home with mothers and fathers setting the example. My mom and dad, and here's the thing, I'm not trying to be brash. I don't understand parents these days. Sometimes I'm like, well, preacher, you know, we don't want to force things. We don't want to force things. I didn't have a choice growing up. My mom and dad said, I'm going to church. Well, Dad, I'm tired. I don't care, son. You're going to church. Dad, I'm 18, 19 years old. I got my own little life going on. You still loving him? My dad would say, son, I love you. But when you put your feet on the floor this morning so many times. Yeah, Dad. Which house did you put them on? Our house. It ain't our house, son. It's my house. And if you live in my house, you're going to church. And some people say, well, I don't want to pressure. Look, folks, it's done by example. When we were building the third sanctuary, because we were part of the fastest 1% growing churches in America, we got awards. They're still hanging on the wall there. But when my dad went to work at the church, guess where I went? I didn't go, well, Dad, I'm going to stay here and play my 10-bit Atari game. You know, now there's a billion bits for little Pac-Man, wonka, wonka, wonk. But I can't wait for the new little Adam Sandler movie. But anyway, I didn't get to stay home and watch videos. I went and worked at the church. When my mom went to choir practice, and we always went to had the big fat boy out front holding a burger. What was that name of that restaurant? Big Boy, yeah. Yeah, fat, that's not politically correct. He's the big boy. Big. But anyway, we go have some kind of little cakes. It was cake, whipped cream, cake, and syrup, and a cherry. I didn't like the cherry. But I went to choir practice. Preacher, did you like to sing? No, I didn't like to sing. My mama made me go. Because we were Christians. But I'll say this. Our pastor always made sure that whatever we did with our youth and children was quality. I wanted to go. Servanthood is learned by example. Don't tell our kids, I don't understand these parents. Oh, I don't go to church, but I let my kids go and do things like that because I think it's good for them to get some religion. Your children don't need religion. They need Jesus. And they see Jesus in the way we live. So, yes, they wanted to be a part of a worthy work. She wanted her sons to be in a place that something they could be proud of. But, folks, let me tell you something. When she went to Jesus, did she call him up on the phone, or was she there doing the work as well? She was there. She was traveling with Jesus. She was walking with the Lord. She not only saw her sons grow, but her sons saw her growing as well. Miss Zebedee just wanted her children to be a part of a worthy work. She prayed and desired to have big expectations. Once again, say that these two sons of mine are to sit, one on your right and one on your left. What happened when we stopped giving them big expectations? Do you know what it would mean for her sons to have that position of honor? Do you know how much work would have to go into that? We're not just talking about a worthy calling. We're talking about a worthy work ethic. But she had high expectations of her children. I don't understand. In today's culture, even my boys would come home. Well, Dad, I made a C. It's the best I could do. I'm like, if you could turn the TV on, if you could turn on the Xbox and every other game in the world and don't make an A, then you didn't do your best. And I'll take it all away if you don't do better. I told him the other day, I said, son, report cards are coming out. Well, now, Dad, you need to know something. I said, you need to know something. If them grades aren't what they're supposed to be, it's going to be a rough summer for you. I'll have you up there scrubbing the toilets every day. You'll have the cleanest toilets at Norte Baptist Church you ever seen in your life. And they'll do it for free. We'll just let Jake oversee them. We even let him have a little whip just to play like he's going to clean that toilet. He can't really hit them, but he can act like it. Scare them real good, Judy. But here's the thing. I have expectations of my boys. And they're better than C's. And you know what? My expectations are greater than just get by. I pray every day. I said, God, please let my sons lead bold, powerful lives filled with grace and mercy and your word. She had big expectations. Let me tell you something, folks. If our kids are to succeed in life, we need to have big expectations, just like Miss Zebedee. She wanted her kids to do something great. Don't you want your kids to be a part of something greater than what you are? I pray my kids will be. A lot of you, some of you visiting here today, look, I've sat in the platforms of life. I've sat in the presence of kings and queens. I still fly on planes with some of the most influential people in the world. And yet I pray my sons would do greater than that. Not because of their father, but because of their father. Well, Pastor, you don't understand. My kids, it'd be hard for them to overcome stuff. I stand before you today, publicly speaking as an orator. I'm not the best in the world. I know that. But I had to take 8 years of speech development to overcome a speech impediment in my life. My mom never once said, it's okay, son. You're limited. My mom always said, son, I know you're doing the best you can, but you've got to strive for more. My daddy told me one time, said, son, I'm 55 years old. And one thing I've learned in life, you can work with your back or you can work with your brain, but your back won't last as long as your brain. Go to school. Get an education and learn. I can honestly say, after 20-something years of education and having a doctorate, I honestly did not enjoy most of it. But it wasn't about me. It was about the Father. My mom and dad taught me how to dream big because my mom and dad had big dreams. Miss Zebedee was concerned about their eternal security and concerned about having a worthy work and big expectations. But most of all, she just wanted to know what real love was. What it was like to have the real love of Christ in their life. Do you remember Emma? She said, I am close to creating something very much like myself. I suppose that's why today's day is so special. Moms are a lot like Jesus, aren't they? Love us when we don't deserve it. There's things I'd love to share with you that my mom caught me. Oh, goodness, that I wish she'd never caught me. Yeah, some of you, because you're right there with me. I mean, my mom didn't catch you, but your mom caught you. but she still loved me. See, that's the thing about a mama's love. A mama's love, and I ain't trying to be anything, I just want, mamas don't take the children's lives. Mamas give up their lives for their children. That's what real mamas do. This story is told out of World War II and the Holocaust that took the lives of millions of people, of the Salman Rosenberg and his family, and it's a true story. Salman Rosenberg and his wife and their 2 sons and his mother and father were arrested and placed in a Nazi concentration camp. It was a labor camp, and the rules were simple. As long as you can do the work, you are permitted to live. When you become too weak to do your work, then you are exterminated. Rosenberg watched his mother and father marched off to their deaths. And he knew the next would be his youngest son, David, because David had always been frail as a child. Every evening, Rosenberg came back into the barracks after his hours of labor and searched for the faces of his family. And when he found them, they would huddle together, embrace one another, and thank God for another day of life. One day, Rosenberg came back and didn't see those familiar faces. He finally discovered his oldest son, Joshua, in the corner, huddled, weeping, and praying. He said, "Josh, tell me it's not true." Joshua turned and said, "It's true, Papa. Today David was not strong enough to do his work, so they came for him." "But where's your mother?" asked Mr. Rosenberg. "Oh, Papa," he said, "when they came for David, he was afraid and he cried. And Mama said nothing. She just went to him and said, 'There's nothing to be afraid of, David,' and took his hand and went with him." I get emotional because my mama would do that. She went knowing that her life was going to come to an end, but she couldn't bear the thought of her child dying all alone. You see, folks, there's only one greater love than a mother's love. And I believe mothers learned it from him, and that's Jesus. He couldn't bear the thought of his children dying, scared, and alone. He couldn't bear the thought of them being separated from him for all eternity. So he came and said, "Don't be afraid. I'll go with you." And just like this mother, Christ came and gave his life so that we would never be separated again. This morning, if you love your mama, I commend you for that. I love my mama. But if you don't know Jesus and you say, "Well, I love my mama, but I'm not really in this Jesus thing," let me tell you something. A mama's love, as great as it is, doesn't even come close to that of Jesus. You see, Jesus caught us in our sins too, didn't he? When we thought we weren't looking, when he wasn't looking. But yet he said, "I love you this much." And he nailed it to a cross. And he said, "But don't you worry. You won't be punished alone. I'll take that punishment. I'll bear your sin. I'll redeem you. Because I want you back at home." You know what salvation is? It's simply Jesus saying, "I want you home." You didn't have to leave. And you didn't have to let sin steal this relationship. The door's always been open. I've already paid the price. Your bed's made. There's food on the table. You've got a place of fellowship. Do you want to come home? You can be exactly what it was meant to be. Let's go, Lord, in prayer.